Martin's very unassuming.
Brilliantly ordinary. One of the most iconic British photographers of all time.
It's shocking. People love it or they hate it, but you always have a reaction to it.
It's just exciting, it's just immediate. He's just shooting.
It's this choreography of life that you can bring together in a single moment.
Il y a plusieurs lectures, il y a plus de profondeur qu'un truc tout simplement beau. C'est comme un trademark.
I mean, he did what Charlie Chaplin was doing in silent movies, comedy and tragedy. No one did it in photography.
You know, and you do it his way or it's the highway.
He's changed the way we look.
I guess getting close is part of my approach. Sometimes I'm closer, sometimes I pull back. It just depends really on the situation. There aren't really those rules, but generally speaking, I'm in the midst of things. It's the only way to survive, really. It's the only way to sort of, put together components in some kind of interesting form.
The extraordinary thing is, lots of people just don't notice him. I mean, he's so tall, and he usually has a big camera, and he just hangs around in places, and people sort of just don't seem to notice him. You know, he waits for things to appear.
I think I took my first photo of my father on the frozen stream in the very cold winter of 1963. So I wanted to record this idea of him standing on the ice. And then a few years later, I went up to Yorkshire and met my grandfather, who was a very keen photographer. We went out shooting, process film, made prints. The excitement I felt with my grandfather and seeing the pictures come out in the Dev was fantastic.
People commonly believe the more interesting birds are found only in remote places. Yet it is surprising that with a little encouragement, many birds will come to our yards and gardens.
My parents were very keen bird watchers. I mean, my father was really obsessed and he passed it on to my mother, and I got my obsessive genes from him. So our trips out would be to places like Pagham Harbour on the south coast to look for waders. But he would put up nets and birds would fly in. He'd ring them and then collect the data. And of course, it's all about working out migratory habits of birds. By about the age of 13 or 14, I wanted to be a photographer. Nothing else was going to happen.
Everybody was out photographing the English. But Martin was one of the best ones. Even at that point of his photographic career, he was good. You know, you could tell the difference, at least I can, when someone has it and when someone is doing the same kind of work, but it's not there. It's not as good. So Martin was one that I would have crossed off on the list saying, you know, look for this one. You know, he's good.
I personally have a massive passion for the black and white work. In there, the essence is that removed nature of looking at people, but still really embedded and attached to what he sees and the visual of a person. It's all there in the picture. That I am looking at you, I'm really embedded in what you're thinking, but I'm staying back and I'm staying in the distance. That's the essence of what makes a Martin Parr picture a picture.
It was more reflective, more serious, sort of social documentary, you know, photographing the chapel communities and the farming communities. So at that point, he was very, it was very black and white, sort of humanist photography.
Et ce qu'elle a fait avant, c'était très socialement engagé. On voit bien là-dedans que c'est pas un personnage cynique. Ça se voit peut-être mieux dans ce photo noir et blanc, son intérêt pour le social, en fait.
Dans le travail en noir et blanc, il y a toute une série sur les voitures abandonnées en Irlande, là, les Morris Minor. Et là, en suivant son obsession de photographier cette voiture abandonnée, on se rend compte que cette voiture, c'est pas n'importe laquelle. C'est une voiture économiquement accessible qui a été utilisée par toute une classe de la société irlandaise et anglaise pendant des années, et qu'on arrive en 70 à la fin de cette classe ouvrière et que toutes ces voitures sont abandonnées. Il est déjà dans le questionnement de qu'est-ce que je photographie et pourquoi est-ce que je m'intéresse à ces choses-là et d'où est-ce que je pars. Le travail noir et blanc, pour moi, c'est un petit peu le point de départ de son œuvre.
And when you look at the kind of the stories and the black and white images, if you put them into color, they almost would be kind of like the color images now. But it's so interesting seeing his work in black and white because it completely takes away what I guess a lot of people know Martin for, but you can really see that humor or those kind of eccentricities. It takes a kind of a certain kind of 21-year-old to be able to go into those spaces to do those sorts of things, especially in like the 70s and the 80s.
Well, I went to Manchester Polytechnic, and there I met lots of artist friends, and we decided it'd be quite nice to actually try and move to a small town in Yorkshire. The thing that I discovered, which I found most intriguing, was the nonconformist chapels, of which there were many in the area. And I went round to them all, and then decided to hone in on Crims of Dean Methodist Chapel. The big event is the anniversary. That's the birthday of the chapel. And then they have two services, and in between time, they serve a chapel tea. And that's something I photographed extensively. That, to me, was the sort of best event of the year. I guess I was sort of celebrating, you know, the sense of community you had in Hebden Bridge.
I'll show you upstairs once
Okay.
when we get, you know.
Now, what's the difference between a Baptist chapel and a Methodist chapel?
You've got me there, apart from the fact that one's Baptist and one's Methodist.
That's a good answer. You know, I remember this picture was up in the workshop in Hebden Bridge. And, you know, we used to give people pictures, and someone came in and said, I'd like to buy a copy of that, but I only want the bottom half, because I don't know the people in the top half.
Oh, that's unfair, that, isn't it?
So I had half a photograph extra. I gave them the whole thing, of course.
Yeah.
I look back to the black and white work with great affection. I've photographed in black and white for nearly 15 years. It was a great part of the learning curve. Back in the 70s, by the way, if you were a serious photographer, you had to work in black and white. Colour was a domain of commercial photographers, smack shop photography. And it's only in the late 60s that we began to see colour photography being taken seriously.
If you look at his black and white work, after you are so solid in knowing his color works, you come to appreciate not only his early work better, but also the value of black and white altogether. Because it was traditional, but it's a black and white that allows that Martin Parr genius to surface. And when it surfaces through black and white, you get another kick, because it's not something that you expect. The image of the guy standing on a ladder with one foot in the void is perfect. And he was really, really young, but he already knew, had a vision, he already knew what to do.
Stop smiling. Serious portrait. Yeah.
And now, here's Ozzy. Tonight, I'd like to show you a new idea in picture taking. A fine 35mm camera by Kodak called the Automatic 35. It lets you take beautiful color slides and get the right exposure time after time automatically. Just as your own eyes adjust to changing light, the Kodak Automatic 35 camera with its electric eye meter measures the light and adjusts itself automatically.
I'd moved to Ireland in the early 80s for a couple of years. When I came back, I decided that I would go to colour, and just down the road was New Brighton. And they'd introduced this new camera called a plough bell. It's a 6x7 camera, very easy to use. And I basically changed the colour and never looked back.
I've always liked seaside resorts, and that's because I wasn't taken to them when I was a kid. I've used the beach as my experimental lab.
When I moved to colour, it was more of a critique of society. I mean, obviously, you're looking for good individual pictures, but ultimately, you're trying to create a narrative about what's going on there, your interpretation of it. That, to me, is very much documentary. It's very difficult to create a photographic icon. And you can't predict how and when they'll happen. They just do happen sometimes. When you've got something in front of you that's really exciting, very moving, that's the time when you might actually get one of these great pictures. But We're constantly searching for them and they remain elusive. But that's the fun. That's what keeps me being a photographer. If I knew how to go out and do it automatically, why would I actually be interested in doing it? That's the challenge. There's no such thing as a perfect picture. Every day you go out, you hope to get one of them, but most of the time you don't. But you have to have that belief early in the morning before you go out that this could be the day when something happens. Your job in the first instance is to recall what's going on in front of you. And you feel the excitement of what's going on, and very rarely do you actually get that same excitement translated into the image. That's the skill, and that's the thing that's difficult.
Au début des années 80, Martin Parr arrive avec un travail couleur. La couleur était réservée à la mode et arrivait dans le reportage, mais pas du tout dans la photographie d'art. Et donc le travail de Martin a été une rupture. Il s'est dit, je suis un middle class photographeur, je suis un photographe petit bourgeois, je vais regarder notre société.
You know, when I saw those first pictures from the last resort, it just, you know, for me, it was incredibly real. It was not how, you know, it was how he shot the world and not how you wanted the world to be, I think. That's a really important point, you know. He kind of was shooting and he just captured that world, and I understood it completely. I mean, there had been some jives, obviously, about how he was maybe being condescending to the working class, but I just don't see that at all. Coming from a working class background, I think that he was just putting the camera in front of people, and he just captured it.
Le titre qu'il a donné à cette série, The Last Resort, n'est pas du tout un titre anodin. C'est-à-dire que c'est pas uniquement des photographies qui sont faites de gens sur la plage comme ça. C'est vraiment un symbole pour lui de la fin de la classe ouvrière dans l'Angleterre des années Thatcher.
The architecture of his images is very complex, yet he managed to deliver a very clear, pure statement, concise, without a word more, without an image less, without one color more, without one element less.
Can we do a picture of them all?
Yeah, of course you can, yeah.
Yeah? Great. Fantastic. Do you make them yourself or you just buy them?
Buy them.
Amazing.
When the summer baby walks with another man today. When the summer baby walks with another man today. When I ask you what's the matter, listen to what I have to say. See you later, alligator.
Perfect. Yeah, if you just stand here, that's great. Yep. Okay. Now, can I do one of you being serious as well? Not miserable, just serious. Just normal face, yeah? Okay, that's great. Brilliant, thank you.
I've enjoyed photographing people. I've enjoyed meeting them. I mean, they're crazy, they're unpredictable, they're always interesting. I like to sort of try and understand what people are like just by looking at them, by the clothes they wear, their attitude, how they speak. You know, this is all very entertaining and very interesting for me. My main aim is to try and create an archive about the time that I've lived in Britain. That, in a sense, would be my legacy.
Martin Parr became a member of Magnum in 1988. I accompanied him while he was taking photographs for his exhibition and book, Common Sense.
It took me a long time to become a member of Magnum because many Magnum photographers didn't want me to join, so therefore I had to go through some meetings where I was rejected, and it's always been a close thing that I would get enough votes to become a member, and you know, but I knew that it was the right thing for me to join because I wanted to get, you know, strong distribution of the work. I'm a populist at heart, and I thought that Magnum was able to offer the best means of distribution for my pictures. The objections to me being a member was that I was too cynical and not fitting into the tradition of humanism that Magnum is famous for.
Is that purple?
Yes, that's purple.
Right.
Lorsque Martin Parr a posé sa candidature, la moitié des photographes de Magnum a dit « s'il rentre dans Magnum, on quitte Magnum », et l'autre moitié des photographes a dit « s'il ne rentre pas, on est des ringards, on s'en va ».
It's that snobbery. You know, I think I think we're akin in that we've both battled to a certain extent against snobberies within the culture business, which is all down to class and sort of over-intellectualization. I mean, photography suffers terribly from academe, you know, like sort of philosophical waffle.
The view that we look at his photography was regarded at the time, you know, in Cartier-Bresson particularly found it, he was an alien, I think he thought he was. I think we've not quite caught up to how he's taking photographs today. I think he's ahead of his time.
Don't be shy. That's it, got it. Oh, that's brilliant. With paint as well. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Bye. Snazzy.
Martin shows people as they are. He just captures the world as it is. I think what people tend to do is project their own sort of interpretation and feelings on those images. When you see him photograph, there's no way that you can sort of call him cruel or anything like that, because he's sort of totally involved in who he is photographing and who he's trying to capture. You know, he's really good at saying, like, oh, I like your shirt, or I love your hat, and things like that. And that really does make people feel at ease, and it really allows him to kind of get close and photograph people in the way that he does.
I like your bag.
There you go.
That's her Fido. Is it?
Oh no, I want a photograph now.
Do you?
Yes.
Well, you'll break the camera.
And I made them myself.
Did you?
Yes.
Dès le début de sa carrière, il a eu affaire à des gens qui lui disait non, on ne fait pas ça, il ne faut pas photographier comme ça les gens, il ne faut pas photographier en couleur, il ne faut pas photographier au flash. Ça a dû lui donner une grande liberté d'affronter ça au départ. Et aujourd'hui, il ne s'embarrasse pas de diktats ou de conventions.
There's a certain degree of politics in my work, but I'm not telling people what it is. They can discover it if they want to. I mean, my main project is the leisure pursuits of the Western world in all classes. Working class like New Brighton, and then middle class like the cost of living. But most of the time, I'm looking at people's leisure time. That's my main subject. I don't tend to take myself into situations where I wouldn't point the camera, because I don't go to wars. I don't go and see the world's huge droughts that we're all experiencing. It's probably unlikely that there wouldn't be a place or time where I wouldn't take a picture. I mean, if I saw a car crash and someone was lying on the road and they were dead, I wouldn't take that.
This is the foxtrot, slow foxtrot, then we have
I love Britain, of course, because we all love the country we come from. Part of my role is, if you like, to define my relationship to being British and being here. You know, in a sense, I'm trying to show the yin and yang of British society and to show it as I find it, as opposed to some idea of it being romantic or good or bad, and to try and show both things. So one of the good things about Britain is that we do have a good sense of humour. All I'm doing is sort of seeing the things that I think are interesting. Sometimes they're funny too, and people are funny, you know. So how can the work not be funny at some point in their production? But I don't think of myself as being a humorous photographer. It's just naturally, you know, life is strange and life is funny.
Hi there. May I do a quick portrait? Brilliant, thank you very much. You look great.
Martin's photographs are defined by their humour and also their humanity. And he's got a great sense of the absurd.
Humour is just so important, it's so underrated. Culture is biased against humour, and yet humour is what keeps it in check. You know, there's so much what I call performative seriousness in art, where people think that misery is somehow more important in art than humour. Humour is what keeps pomposity and sort of unchecked belief. Here's a man who's got a very good sense of humour, a needle-sharp eye for the material culture of our times. He will laser beam on the particular food, the particular garment, the particular makeup, and that tells a story about where we are now.
Being able to be funny is not a cheap gift, you know, and for him especially, he's got to find real things that are funny, and his eye has got to make it funny. Why are two people enjoying a picnic outside their car next to a busy road? You know, it's funny, isn't it? It's sort of funny, but also you love the subjects too. And I think that's one of the things, you know, a lot of humour is seen as cruel, but I never think Martin's photographs are cruel. I just think they're celebrating eccentricity in all its forms. Normally when people want to capture Britain, it's like men in bowler hats on, you know, a bridge in London, you know, Houses of Parliament behind. They want certain images that are quite cliched, that sort of just tell the story, this is Britain. But Martin doesn't do that. He finds little sort of garden fetes that actually, I don't think anyone had ever photographed like that before.
You could put him anywhere and he would find it something interesting to photograph, which is, of course, you know, the signature of a brilliant photographer is that, you know, wherever he is, he'll find something interesting.
You can see the responsibility on my shoulders, right? Thank you. I've abdicated the throne. King Martin the First, please.
King Martin.
I think it's just a reflection of society in the UK. I mean, I think it's quintessentially about, you know, you feel the same experience, I think. There's definitely a place for humour, particularly when it comes to some of the subjects that Martin was photographing and some of the ideas about British class. Britain's still, even to this day, is still going on about class, and there are still kind of class divisions, I think, in its way.
We have a class system par excellence here in this country, you know, and whether we know it or not, we are finely attuned, particularly the middle classes, are finely attuned to the gradations of status within material and culture. Still to this day, you know, I open the Times newspaper and there's the supplement in the paper and it's always got a woman with swooshy hair, which is that kind of generic West London posh. And it's always that woman on the front. And of course there's that great Martin Parr photograph, I think it's taken at some sort of fete, Conservative Party fete or something, and there's a woman sort of swooshing her hair in just that way, and it's just like, I've just always associated that, you know, it's implanted in me. There's something that sort of wholesome, sort of blandness of the posh.
Brilliant, thank you.
Dearly beloved,
Thank you.
we are gathered to offer worship and praise to Almighty God, to celebrate the life of our nations, to pray for Charles, our King, to recognize and to give thanks for his life of service to this nation, the realms, and the Commonwealth.
Don't
And to
smile, just
witness
look normal.
with joy his
Just look at me.
anointing and
Yeah.
crowning,
Don't
his
smile,
being
just look
set
normal.
apart and consecrated for the service of his people. Let us
Thank you very
dedicate
much.
ourselves alike in body, mind, and spirit.
Brilliant, thank you. Smiling.
Not smiling?
Yeah, hold the flag up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Hang on, we do it vertical.
Now, would you like some glitter?
Yeah, just a bit down there, yeah. We'll do it on this side.
Which,
Well,
which,
well, I
which
just-
is your best side?
Oh, great. Right. We've
Should
got-
we have a picture together?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Where's-
think we should have a picture together.
Yeah.
Right, who's taking... Oh.
I don't know. I'm not going to take it.
I don't think my pictures are that nasty or harsh. You know, when you look at them, there's always an element of there. But what I'm trying to do, of course, is to reflect what I find in a very subjective way and turn it into photographs.
Martin a un atout, il est très libre dans sa tête. Il se fout totalement de sa tenue vestimentaire. Il a deux chaussettes différentes, il a une vieille paire de sandales, il a un vieux pull.
He's kind of generically ordinary, you know, and I think that's his camo. You know, a nature photographer to be all in camo and so that it didn't disturb the animals. That's what he is. So he has to sort of somehow be internationally bland. You know? The thing is, he's starting to look anachronistic a little bit because he's older now, you know, and so his idea of bland is probably out of date now.
We've got the amazing singer of Amnesty. Greet everybody!
Yeah, his job is to blend into the background and sort of just sidle up to things. We've got to go.
Flying at more than 300 miles an hour, the Viscount brings Gibraltar within 4 hours of London and the Lewises to the holiday they've long dreamed about.
He became kind of well known, I think, with New Brighton, with the Last Resort work. And then, you know, he was off flying around the world, going to, you know, festivals and, you know, travelling to take photos. Martin can't swim, but he does love the seaside, and he loves sort of tourist resorts and things like that. So we've compromised in the sense that we go to places where I can swim and he can take photographs, and that works incredibly well.
I'm still excited by going out and seeing this crazy world that we live in. You know, every place I go to, there's always something there that interests me, that immediately makes me want to photograph it.
parfois on prend trop les photographies de Martin Parr au premier degré. Les années se poursuivant, il a fait un travail sur l'évolution du tourisme mondial auquel personne ne s'intéressait à l'époque. C'était un des premiers à traiter ce sujet, si ce n'est le premier. Il a commencé par l'Angleterre, mais il regarde la société occidentale.
Yeah, I remember photographing on the ferries from France to the UK when people went to buy duty-free. And you get these crazy scenes of people grabbing beer, and it's completely nuts. That's the sort of situation I'm very happy with, where consumerism goes out of control.
One of the things we're trying to do is to capture how things have changed, you know, the whole rise of the hypermarket, the supermarket.
So if you go to a supermarket and you buy a package, there's always a picture of the food on the front, and then when you open it up, it looks completely different. That, I think, shows the basic lie that we're all being told. In the end, you could argue that our greed for all the consumables in the world is going to be partly responsible for global climate warming, this sort of stuff. I'm aware of things like this, and I am glad my photographs introduce these topics, albeit very subtly.
There's no doubt that the appearance of food can make all the difference to one's appetite. Similarly, its presentation at the table shouldn't be overlooked. You see, nothing to it. In fact, you never know what you can do until you try. Famous last words.
Well, interestingly, you know, junk food actually makes the better pictures. Of course, I photograph posh food as well, but whenever you do it, it just looks like something out of a magazine. These days, of course, everyone's photographing food. If you go to any posh restaurant, you'll see people getting their phones out, photographing every course. So at least I was ahead of that movement, so I can retire from food photography, knowing that the general public have taken it on.
This is the point about Martin Parr, because he doesn't photograph food because of the food itself. He photographs food as a commentary on consumerism, on fast food, on tastes, on the state of healthy living. It's a crude commentary, which I think no one really does.
There's something majestic about seeing what we normally think of as very ugly in a kind of, I wouldn't say romanticized, but a beautiful way.
Est-ce beau ou est-ce moche? Ça a l'air d'être beau, mais quand on se rapproche, finalement, c'est plutôt rebutant. Il va peut-être aller plus près que ce qu'on aurait dû s'approcher. Et c'est exactement ça, ce qu'il veut montrer. C'est interpeller, en fait. Dire, rendez-vous compte, en fait, ça, c'est juste vous, c'est juste nous. C'est le monde tel qu'il est, c'est la vie telle qu'elle est, et pas la vie telle qu'on voudrait qu'elle soit.
The reality of what it is, that kind of disconnect between the mythology and the reality. So he's kind of getting closer and closer to what the meat of the subject is, and then exploiting it completely.
Yeah, nice wasp on some cheap strawberry jam. You can see it's cheap. It's got no fruit in it. Here's one from the States, on the beach. So these are images from the Common Sense project, which happened in 1999, where all the close-ups that I'd taken in the UK and around Europe came together into this project. Phone card in the ashtray. The ashtray is very neat, if you know what I mean. Hot dog, get it here. I like that message. So that's a good cliche one. This is in France, cherries in the drink, with, of course, the nails echoing the cherries. I like the close-ups, particularly in this period when I was doing it almost exclusively. And these are sort of battered cans of food in a food remainder shop. These are actual sardines, of course. They look quite tasty. I'd have those today. So it's interesting to see how things are passed on. I like the out-of-focus asparagus coming out here and the Brussels sprouts, clearly overcooked. Probably from Susie's father.
He was taking pictures of food in here, or people on holiday here and there. Other photographers that seemed serious, including me, were traveling on the other side of the world trying to be the heroes and the heroines, the messengers of freedom, while really, truly, the battles, we could have fight them in here, and it should have been fought in here, really, like Martin Parr did. For me, Martin Parr is a soldier, you know, on that respect.
Oh. It's a bumpy ride.
He's obsessed.
The collections, oh my God, the whole house was taken over with all kinds of crap, like, well, I say crap, you know, his beloved Saddam Hussein watches or statues of, I don't know, Lenin, or, you know, the whole house was filled. And luckily now we've got the foundation. I've got my house back and my kitchen back, you know. We had a massive cabinet in the kitchen that dominated the whole space. That's all gone now, back to the foundation. So it's found its home.
Oh, God, yeah, he's just a massive collector. And so photography fits very well, because photography, you know, a big part of photography is kind of, you know, collecting every country, every event, you know, that's what he does. He kind of said, well, I've got to get all these things in, all these British sort of ceremonies, I've got to get them all ticked off, sort of thing. And then, of course, he'll have to have every Saddam Hussein watch or every roll of Barack Obama toilet paper, whatever it is that, you know, he wants.
You have to be obsessed to be, I guess, a successful artist or a successful photographer, and successful anything, really. Of course I'm obsessed, and that's one of the things that drives you on.
En fonction des projets qu'il va traiter, il va renouveler son approche photographique. On croit que Martin Parr, c'est linéaire. C'est pas linéaire. Lorsque tout d'un coup, il va photographier la fatigue des Japonais qui vont travailler, font 2 heures de métro aller, 2 heures de métro au retour, il va tout d'un coup prendre un protocole photographique auquel il va se tenir, très systématique.
I love when he says, I don't go on holiday because, you know, my work is me having a good time, being relaxing. I think that's wonderful. That's a great kind of work ethic but having a work ethic that is encompassing of just enjoying life and taking part in life.
No, he's the most hardworking person because he's so driven and obsessive, and he's always working, you know, and he's always, I mean, he's had to slow down because he's been ill, but, you know, before that, he was just like, he was constantly on a plane somewhere, and, yeah, I mean, he racks up the miles.
He's a very hard worker, yeah. Even in hospital, he was doing still lives of, you know, the food. When he was in intensive care, the first sign that he was better, I went in to see him, and he started taking photos of the medical team. So I knew he was on the mend.
You appreciate the ability to photograph even more after cancer, because that's one thing that really sobers you up. Makes you realise, you know, the basic things, your family, things you take for granted beforehand, you know, are so much more appreciated in the post-cancer world.
So it's been a real motivation for me to do more work.
Oh, they're great, the two at the bottom now. Right, are we all being, going to be serious for a minute? Just normal faces? Yes. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, cheese. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, nice. Okay. Which is... That's good. Wow. Yeah, yes, that's it. And you can take the dog again. And no, let's hold it out. Yeah, that's okay. That's good. Bring the dog down a bit so we can see its face. Yeah. And 1, 2, 3, cheesy pancakes. 1, 2, 3.
Cheesy pancakes!
You all hold hands now, okay? That's good. Right, okay. That's good. Nice one. We have it cracked. Woof, where's Woof Woof? Oh, who's that? What does this creature make noises like?
I'm actually better than for that noise, but I'm going to...
Here, Dad will show you.
1, 2, 3. Okay, we can get higher than that, I think.
The role of the foundation is very simple. It's to collect and to give a platform to other British documentary photographers, because they're very underrated in the UK. For me personally, this is going to be part of my legacy. Not only have I got my own images of my time in Britain, but also the collection that we built up to really sort of help to champion the achievements of other British documentary photographers.
Let me have a look.
Do you want to put these back?
Last resort, here we go. Now, a lot of the contacts I did actually in black and white. So if you look here, it's because I couldn't afford to get colour ones done. Well, obviously, they were taken in colour, and I wanted them to be in colour, but you can just as well, you know, make the edit from the black and white contacts, which is exactly what I did. So there's that one, which is quite well known. And when we had the show in 18 or 19 in New Brighton, this woman showed up, and she kept saying, "This is not my kid. It was someone else's," that I think she was looking after briefly. And this guy wrote to me about 10 years ago, and I sent his mother a print. That's his mother. There it is in black and white. Splat the rat, mash the mouse. This is a nice scenario, but they're not actually dressed in Union Jacks or anything. You just have a limp Union Jack there. But this is nice. So I might put that one in. I quite like, this is Charles III, so this is a kid writing with chalk on the pavement, on the road. In front of the JCB. Come join us. There's the bar in Stourbridge. Ah, yes, so that's the one of the three of them together that's the best. Looking deadly serious, crowns on, so that's a good one. Guys, sorry about this. Could you do a print of this?
Yeah.
Just one. Don't think much will need doing to it.
Hi, Suze, you may as well come up and have a cup of tea with me.
Yeah, I think it's tea time.
Hi, Suze, you may as well come up and have a cup of tea with me.
Yeah, I think it's tea time.
Okay, let's have a look at this. Whew. Yeah, I think that looks good. I like the suburban street. I like the flags here. I like these three guys. God save. Good. That's quite a good print, even though I say it myself.
During the coronation, someone tweeted, "Oh, look, it's, National Martin Parr Day," because everything, even on the TV, looked like a Martin Parr photograph somehow. Kind of the enriched colour of it all, and the kind of sort of ridiculousness of the pomp and all that. And I think that, we see, people queuing for an ice cream van now, and we think, well, that looks like a Martin Parr photograph, doesn't it? And he has inveigled his way into our visual unconscious now. That is the mark of a true genius, that he's had such a strong vision, and he's able to technically convey that over such a vast sort of oeuvre. He's made a way of seeing, which not many people get to do.
One of the reasons that Martin's work can be so controversial is that he makes us or asks us to look at what we try to negate. When we try to say, oh, no, it's always beautiful, this is always beautiful. Martin's work is actually showing us the contrary, right? That it's not always beautiful, and that's okay. That life is not always picturesque and beautiful, or perhaps that maybe we need to redefine what our notion of beauty is.
Yeah, he's from a middle-class, white background, he's male, and that the world of documentary photography is long, and British documentary photography is that particular set of people are well represented, and he knows that Britain is not just that there are other voices that aren't represented. And so I think at the time he was really seeking to sort of get other people a seat at the table, to invite them in to be part of the conversation.
I hope he'll also be remembered as a humorist and a satirist as well, because I think there's satire in those photographs as well. I think he is a satirist, I think, because he's reflecting what's going on. He's reflecting what's going on at the time in the country or wherever he is.
Just signed, or it's the third month, isn't it? There you go. There you go. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Hi there.
This one for Serge.
Okay. There you go. There you go. Thank you. There you go. Thank you. Hi there.
I'm doing good.
Thank you very much. Cheers. There you go. Thank you. Pleasure.
Exhibitions are important, along with books.
Hi there.
They're a great way of, displaying the prints, having a good look at them.
Yes, of course.
The trouble is with exhibitions, they come and they go. Whereas a book is there forever. So ultimately, the book is the most brilliant way of getting a photographer's message across.
There you go.
Why not? Yeah, wherever you want. Oh my God, on the egg.
On the egg, yeah.
It's very difficult to actually determine what makes a good book, but basically, first off, you have to have some good pictures.
Yes, of course. I know, yeah. Great, of course I do, yeah.
And the design, everything about it should be reflected in the purpose of the book and why it's there in the first place.
There you go. Ah, it's bright. Okay, good.
C'est bon ou pas? Ah bah voilà, elle est très Martin Parr.
Sultana?
Yes.
Wow, they're dried grapes in English. I've never met a sultana before.
Really?
You're my very first. Pleasure, thank you.
And people don't throw books away. Because if I've done 120 books, I'm not going to tell you that they're all good, am I? There's some dodgy ones in there too.
I've never done that one before, that's good. Very nice. Thank you. Yeah. Cheers.
It's amazing especially when I come to France and I do a book signing, how many people come up to me saying they like my work. It's amazingly flattering, really. Who doesn't enjoy a bit of attention? Most of the time, of course, I go about my life. No one's bothering me at all. I go supermarket shopping. It's not like being a TV superstar.
Bye-bye.
Where they must be harassed every time they go anywhere. I hate that to happen. I have to confess, I'm pretty obsessed with work. Every day I think about it. So yes, it's taken over my life, and I'm very lucky to have a very supportive partner like Susie. I think we make quite a good team.
He was at art college. He wasn't very prepossessing, I have to say, because he had a sort of little wispy beard and, wore a butler's jacket, and he was dancing with a mop when I first met him at a party.
Martin danse de façon aussi drôle qu'il photographie. A une sorte de rapport à l'amitié qui est étrange, parce qu'il n'est pas tellement dans la parole, Martin. Avant de comprendre si on est son ami ou pas son ami, il faut du temps, mais c'est quelqu'un de très fidèle en même temps. Donc c'est quelqu'un qui a beaucoup de facettes. Il est un peu mystérieux en fait.
And it doesn't mess about. He will exchange a few words. Okay, hi, how you doing? No, okay, I gotta go. Boom. He doesn't waste in small talk. No, and this is fundamental, especially when you're taking pictures. But in general, he doesn't do small talk. Go straight.
Look, to be frank, I don't know how he did it all. That's a great ending. Because he did so much, Superman can't even do that. It's like this insatiable need. And that's why he's good at what he does.